people, welcome back. Sorry it's been a while since I did a proper voiceover, or any voiceover for that matter. One morning I kind of woke up and suddenly realised just how close to my exams I'd gotten, and whilst I will try to make sure to do a voiceover of some kind for next week's video, after that there might be a slight break as I try actually pass my finals. Wish me luck, I'm gonna need it. Anyway, today I am drawing two beautiful characters, well, personally, I think they're beautiful, from my comic, those being Dinadan and Lancelot. Obviously I don't want to spoil the comic in case they ever actually finish writing the damn thing, but I figured I would ramble about them for a while, and if you want to hear more in depth about either of these characters, then I have done entire videos on both of them before that you can go watch instead. As a quick summary though, my story centres around the well-known legend of King Arthur and his Round Table, specifically focusing on one lesser-known knight by the name of Dinadan, who's very laid back and not particularly bothered with all the, fighting and stuff. He's also usually quite sceptical of all the knights who do buy into the stereotypical chivalry and pomp and fancy coats, and in his experience they tend to be the ones who get lots of people killed, just through sheer stupidity. You know, the whole, you must fight every knight you come across to defend your honour sort of thing. Or, somebody said they didn't like your hat today. Oh no, we've got a duel to the death. He's possibly a little bit quick to judge, but secretly he just kind of wants a quiet life away from all the chaos of court. Lancelot, as you might have guessed from the thumbnail, is the romantic lead type character of my story. He isn't initially part of the main trio and is more of an outside force that draws Dinadan away from the group and away from his loyalty to his best friend. On the surface, he is exactly the kind of knight that Dinadan can't stand. He's so desperate to be accepted by the court in England despite struggling with both the language barrier initially and adjusting to the busy life of what is essentially a city after having grown up in the country with just his mum. Lance's entire purpose in the story is basically to force Dinadan to reconsider the way he views people and force him to get to know people before he judges them, because while Lancelot might seem like a very self-centered kind of character, he's actually got a lot going on and he's just trying to cope the only way he knows how, which is by following what he believes to be the rules. The two of them basically just always seem to kind of run into each other, and as they get to know one another, they discover how they both end up as knights, despite neither of them not really wanting that from life. Lancelot teaches Dinadan to be less cynical and judgmental, while Dinadan teaches Lancelot to loosen up and care less about how others view him. Obviously, there's plenty of comedic hijinks along the way too, but I wanted them to have a more meaningful side to their relationship so I could do lots of cute angsty moments, because we gotta live for that. There are also plenty of points where their relationship will have, hopefully, a direct influence on the plot and the actions of the other main characters, but that'd be spoilers. As for character designs, there are still the individual videos that go more into depth about the specifics of how I designed each outfit and chose what the hair was going to look like and all that sort of thing. To be perfectly honest though, I didn't really give much thought as to how these characters would look side by side when I originally designed them. I designed them as two separate entities rather than as a group. And that's something I should definitely look into, I think, on future redesigns, particularly as I am now realising, looking at this image, they don't even share one colour in their entire colour palette. Literally nothing. That said, I did specifically reference Dinadan's general build when I was designing Lancelot for the first time. Dinadan's kind of thin and wiry, and so as one of the best fighters in the comic, Lancelot needs to be much bulkier by comparison. Partly to help with achieving that, and partly because I wanted the two characters to appear more balanced, I was also pretty adamant that Dinadan was going to be taller than Lancelot. Kind of similar to the proportions of Merlin and Gawain in BBC's Merlin, if you've ever seen that. Merlin's actually taller, although you don't expect him to be, but much skinnier and just more wiry. I need to come up with a different adjective other than wiry, but it's not happening, so thank you, brain. Drawing different body types is something I definitely need more practice at, and although I'd say I'm slightly better at drawing different proportions for men as opposed to women, it certainly needs some work. My other character, Bran, her proportions change every single time I draw her. It's really not great. She's meant to be short, that's about all I've decided, and the rest of it just kind of falls apart. Still, finally we have the general pose of this piece. I had originally planned something much more fluid than the final picture you can see, but as I said, I've had exams, and so I just settled for what was easy this time around. Just two guys staring somewhat lovingly into each other's eyes, rather than anything more complicated that involves limbs and legs and all that nonsense. With the powers of foresight, though, I can promise that next week's piece is going to be much more interesting to look at, and I've done something much more complicated and interesting than what you can see here. Finally, firstly I'd like to apologise because I realised I've spoken very, very quickly during this voiceover today. I don't know why. I think it's because I'm getting back into it after weeks of not having done any, so apologies for that. But now, finally, I would like to mention that I am very, very slowly creeping towards 100 subscribers, which is incredible, and thought here would be a really good place to ask what, if anything, would you guys like me to do if I ever did reach that number? I'm open to all suggestions, obviously, and I really look forward to hearing your ideas about it. With that said, thank you for watching, thank you for putting up with my incessant ramblings and very, very fast talking, and I hope you enjoyed the speed paint. I will see you next week. Bye!